The South China Sea is one of the most dangerous places in the world right now, and at the center of it all are two nations, the Philippines and China. This is not just about water. This is about power, pride, resources, and control of one of the busiest shipping lanes on Earth. And the big question everyone is asking is, if it comes down to a fight, who will win, the Philippines or China, to answer that? We need to understand what makes this place so important. First, the South China Sea carries 1/3 of all global shipping every year. Trillions of dollars worth of goods flow through these waters. Oil, gas, and trade all pass here. Control of this sea means control of the world's economy. Second, the sea is believed to hold massive reserves of oil and natural gas. Whoever controls it will have energy for decades. And third, it is a strategic military zone. The country that dominates these waters can project power across all of Asia. Now, China claims almost the entire South China Sea using the so-called 9-dash line. But this claim was rejected by the International Court in 2016. The ruling said the Philippines had the right to its exclusive economic zone. But China ignored the decision, built artificial islands, and turned them into military bases with runways, radars, and missiles. The Philippines, on the other hand, is smaller in size and power, but it has one big advantage. Allies under a mutual defense treaty with the United States, any armed attack on the Philippines could bring in American military power, and that changes the balance completely. So let us compare. First, China's military. China has the largest navy in the world, with more than 350 warships, including aircraft carriers, destroyers, and nuclear submarines. It has thousands of advanced missiles and the world's second-largest air force with stealth fighters and bombers in raw numbers. China completely outmatches the Philippines. Now, the Philippines has a much smaller military. Its navy is made of just a few dozen ships, many of them old and not built for big battles. Its air force is improving, but still far behind China. But here is where it gets interesting. Despite the size difference, the Philippines has geography on its side. The islands and reefs it controls are right in the middle of the South China Sea, close to its home territory. Supply lines are shorter and easier, while China has to project power far from its mainland that makes its bases vulnerable. And here come the allies. The United States has military bases in the Philippines, and thousands of troops stationed across the Pacific in Guam, Japan, and South Korea. The U.S. Navy, with its aircraft carriers and submarines, can easily enter the South China Sea if war breaks out. And then there is Japan, Australia, and even European nations who have all voiced support for the Philippines. China may have numbers, but the Philippines has the law, geography, and friends on its side. So who would win if a conflict explodes? The first battles would be at sea. China would likely try to blockade Philippine islands using its Coast Guard, Navy, and militias. It would send swarms of ships to push Filipinos out of disputed waters. The Philippines would struggle to resist alone, but with U.S. support, Chinese ships would face American destroyers and aircraft carriers. In seconds, the balance shifts in the air. China's stealth fighters and bombers would give it an early advantage. But American F-35s and Philippine allies like Japan with advanced jets would quickly challenge them. China's artificial islands with runways and missile bases would be targets. But those islands are also vulnerable to missile strikes and could be destroyed early in a war. The Philippines could not do this alone. But with allies, the islands China built might become liabilities instead of strengths. But what about nuclear weapons? China has them. The Philippines does not. However, using nuclear weapons in the South China Sea would bring catastrophic global consequences. It would almost certainly drag in the US and NATO and possibly start World War III, meaning China may hesitate to use its ultimate weapons. Another factor is economics. China's economy is massive, but it is also fragile, dependent on global trade and shipping. If war breaks out in the South China Sea, shipping routes will collapse, markets will panic, and China will suffer heavily. The Philippines will also suffer, but it has less to lose compared to China. So economically, a long war hurts China more. Another angle is people. The Philippines has one of the youngest, most resilient populations in Asia. Filipinos are known for their adaptability and toughness, especially in hard times. China's population is aging rapidly, and a long, costly war could weaken domestic stability. Unrest at home is always a risk for Beijing. Then there is international law. The World Court already ruled against China. If war breaks out, the Philippines can claim it is defending international law, while China will look like the aggressor. This means more countries will rally to the Philippine side diplomatically. China risks isolation. So what is the most likely outcome? The truth is a full-scale war between China and the Philippines would almost certainly bring in bigger powers. The Philippines alone cannot defeat China, but China cannot easily crush the Philippines without triggering a global response. So the real fight is not just between Manila and Beijing, it is between China and the entire alliance system led by the US. This is why the South China Sea is so dangerous. One wrong move, one accidental clash could ignite a war that pulls in half the world, but the Philippines is not powerless. It plays a key role in stopping China's expansion. Every fishing boat, every patrol, every alliance it signs adds pressure on Beijing and makes it harder for China to fully dominate the sea. If China pushes too far, it risks uniting the world against it. So who will win, the Philippines or China? The answer is neither, because this fight is not just about two countries. It is about the balance of power in the 21st century. If China succeeds, it will dominate Asia and challenge the US. If the Philippines and its allies stand firm, the rules-based order will survive. The South China Sea is the chessboard, and the moves made here will decide the future of the world in the next 50 years. The Philippines may be small, but it holds one of the biggest keys to global peace or global war. And that is why this battle is won. The entire world is watching.